Greetings and welcome to the Spiritual Awareness Journey Program, a virtual spiritual tool platform where the practical application of all things spiritual in our daily living is shared and discussed by experienced speakers from all walks of life, together with our special guests who are realized souls called Mahatmas. This hour is brought to you by the Manav Dharam YouTube channel. I'm your host, Smita from Mauritius, and we are very happy to welcome you all from all around the world to spend the next hour with us as we address this episode's topic, gratitude, the highest and most positive vibration by which any being can express appreciation. We are delighted to have a host of experienced speakers with us today who will be sharing their insights, their experiences, and understanding of this virtue. As we know, there is no greater attitude than gratitude. It truly has a profound positive impact on our lives, on the lives of others, and actually on the lives of all beings. Gratitude has the potential to uplift one's heart, restore wellness, and even change lives. This will be elaborated upon by our speakers today, Mrs. Pooja Shroff Toria, Mr. Zachary Friedley, and Mrs. Gabby De La Torre, as well as our special guest speaker, Mahatma Nirmohi Baiji, who will expound on its spiritual effects on us humans. Only we humans, as the spiritual beings embodied in this human existence, have the ability to connect with our true essence, which in reality is our original spiritual source. We as humans can receive this spiritual knowledge, the means by which we can commune with this divine essence within and attain a higher state of consciousness. By being grateful to be born as a human belonging to this one race, the human race, we can open our hearts and minds, synchronize and raise our vibration to a more positive and pure state of presence and see others as we see ourselves. We hope that this hour will inspire all to seek this higher state of awareness, to inquire about this spiritual knowledge, and become conscious of the spiritual being which, in essence, we all are. Forging a relationship with our true self, connecting with our spirit and soul, we can start our own practical spiritual awareness journey and consciously expanding in our spiritual potential, journeying together as one race, attain our true goal, a spiritually enlightened world where peace, joy, and bliss will reign. We are delighted to start our Spiritual Awareness Journey program with our first speaker of the day, Mrs. Pooja Shroff Toria. Mrs. Pooja Shroff Toria was born and raised in USA. She is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Michigan. She has been in the field of mental health counseling for the past 10 years now. Apart from work, Pooja is also actively involved in the Indian community. She has been a board member for the Gujarati Samaj of Pittsburgh and Detroit in planning cultural events and remaining connected to her roots. Along with psychology and engagement in the community, she has had a keen interest in spirituality from a young age. She is grateful to her family and spiritual mentors for the continuous guidance, support, and love. Please welcome Mrs. Pooja Shroff Toria.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Smita-ji. Hello, greetings, my fellow spiritual aspirants. My name is Pooja. As today's session is on gratitude, I would like to start off by expressing my gratitude towards the spiritual awareness journey for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and experiences. As a mental health professional, I've always strived to help my patients perceive that the glass is half full rather than half empty. However, the pandemic has posed so many new struggles, challenges, and pain on a personal, professional, economical, and social levels for many of us. When so much of our world is suffering, it is even more important to practice gratitude For the first time, I was experiencing the same anxiety and stressors my patients were as we learned to navigate through a new norm. I quickly had to adapt to providing virtual therapy sessions and attend virtual seminars to learn how to be effective in telehealth. In that moment, I realized how adaptable and resilient humans can be if we allow ourselves. As stressful as it was initially, I am so grateful for this experience as it has helped expand my clinical skills. I think we can all agree that we have learned many valuable lessons in the past year and a half. We have much to be grateful for, which we may have taken for granted prior to the pandemic, such as our family, friends, social interactions, and most importantly, our health. Melody Beattie, an American author, once stated, "Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend." In all essence, we can suggest that gratitude leads to the feeling of fullness, that what we have is enough, and which is associated with contentment. So let us start with answering the question, what is gratitude? The word gratitude comes from the Latin root gratis, which means pleasing, welcome, agreeable. Gratis is also the root of related concepts such as grace and gratuity. Gratitude can be defined as a thankful appreciation for what an individual receives, whether it's tangible or intangible. It's also the very active noticing and appreciating everything good in our life. Marcus Tullius Cicero stated, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others." From gratitude stems humility, empathy, compassion, resiliency, forgiveness, kindness, respect, patience, love, and more. All of these virtues which make us good human beings and help us to uphold humanity and our society. Gratitude isn't only an emotion or a feeling, but it is also a personality trait and a state of mind. Research has found that those with grateful personalities tend to be happier individuals. Robert Emmons, who is the leading scientific expert on the topic of gratitude, asserted there are two key components of gratitude. First, it's an affirmation of goodness. We affirm that there are good things in the world, gifts and benefits we've received. And secondly, we recognize that the sources of this goodness are outside of ourselves. We acknowledge that other people gave us many gifts, big and small, to help us achieve the goodness in our lives. The regular practice of gratitude has many positive implications on various areas of our lives, from our mental and physical well-being to improved self-awareness and stronger relationships. As you may know, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. It gives me much pleasure to share the positive impacts gratitude has on an individual's mental well-being. Neuroscience research on gratitude has shown that consistent practice of gratitude significantly improves mental health. It causes the brain to boost more positive neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine, and the hormone oxytocin, which are all associated with having a positive outlook on life and well-being. It also decreases the presence of the stress hormone cortisol. As a result, being consistently grateful can lower rates of depression and anxiety. In moments of darkness, gratitude works as a ray of hope. Even through our struggles, we're able to perceive the blessings in disguise. Gratitude helps us to find meaning, build inner strength to combat stress, and cope with adversity. It reminds us of the things or people in our life that give us courage to move forward. Studies have also shown that individuals who practice gratitude versus those who don't have distinctly different brain activity related to guilt and and their desire to help a cause. This suggests that people who are more grateful are also more attentive to how to express their gratitude. And additionally, grateful people feel healthier and are more likely to engage in healthier activities and be more proactive about their health. This leads us to asking, how can we foster gratitude in our daily lives? I have witnessed in my practice of counseling how cultivating an attitude of gratitude has healing power. With the grace of God, I've felt privileged to be an instrument in many of my patients' healing process and their journey in life towards self-growth, and self-awareness. I've often encouraged my patients to practice gratitude to help them perceive the good that already exists in their life as a way to shift the way they think and their approach to life. As Billy Nelson once stated, when I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around. Being grateful is not just a fleeting emotion, but rather a way of living. It requires us to stop and acknowledge all that is present and abundant, from the tiniest to the grandest of our blessings, and take nothing for granted. Other ways to cultivate gratitude an example would be to start a gratitude journal. Take a few minutes every morning to write out or say out loud a couple things you are grateful for that day. In doing so, you're setting a positive tone for the day, and it will empower you to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Another practice is taking a gratitude walk. Set aside 20 minutes or more and walk around somewhere in the nature, perhaps your neighborhood, park, or wherever you feel comfortable. As you walk, appreciate the beauty that surrounds you by engaging your senses to the present moment. You may hear the birds chirp or the winds rustle against the grass. You may feel the warmth of the sun on your skin or smell the flowers or freshly cut grass. In that moment, breathe, pause, and be grateful for the air filling your lungs. This will surely shift your mood and open to the flow of abundance which surrounds you. Further research on gratitude has also found that simply by taking 2 minutes out of your day to express gratitude for 21 days straight can change a pessimist into an optimist. It elevates your vibrational frequency, which will enable you to attract everything positive your way. One thing that I practice every day is every morning when I wake up and before my feet touch the ground, I thank Mother Earth for carrying our burden and supporting life. I thank the Lord for giving me another day to live, another day to make a positive impact in my life and the life of others. It reminds me that that life is so precious and every breath is a gift from God and should not be taken for granted, as tomorrow is never promised to anyone. Gratitude is probably the ultimate spiritual practice. It enables us to feel the presence of the divine in our daily lives and observe the divine intervention and grace work through our life. This very acknowledgement supports in evolving our spirit, our soul. Oftentimes, our ego becomes a barrier between us and the world when it is gone unchecked. It makes us narrow-sighted as we begin to feel entitled. However, the ego is removed and set aside when we are appreciating something. Ego and gratitude cannot coexist. Where there is ego, there is fear, limitation, and arrogance. Whereas gratitude opens us up to love, wisdom, and expansion. As I said earlier, gratitude brings us closer to the divine. This has truly been my experience as I've become more self-aware through the years. I have been on this journey of spiritual awakening since the age of 14 when I received the knowledge of the soul. However, the reality is we have all been on this journey since birth. The only difference is some of us are aware of our greater purpose in life as we have become enlightened, while others are still seeking that out. The foremost thing to be grateful for is having been born in a human body, which has been called the crown of creation. Of all species, only humans have a higher intellect to seek out their greater purpose in life. Even though we are all on our separate paths, we are still connected to that one supreme being. The regular practice of gratitude will surely strengthen your faith, uplift your soul, and take you closer to your purpose. I can say this with firm vindication through my own personal experience and encourage you all to do the same. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Pooja, for sharing your inspiring thoughts with us. As you rightly said, we have so much to be grateful for: our family, our social connections, our health, and simply being born. Gratitude is not just a positive attitude, but has also so many health benefits, as you rightly said to us. So definitely a value to inculcate and practice in our daily lives. Thank you so much. Our second speaker today is Mr. Zachary Friedley from Mendocino, California. Zachary Friedley is an ultra trail runner, a non-profit visionary and advocate for limb-different communities. He is the founder and executive director of amendomovement.org, a growing nonprofit organization. Please welcome our second speaker, Mr. Zachary.
Thank you, Smita. I'd like to share my story about gratitude and how I found it. And it starts from the beginning. So I was born in 1984 to young parents, and I was born missing my leg above the knee, and I was born missing some of my fingers. And I was seen at the Shriners Hospital in St. Louis, Missouri, and they gave me prosthetics so I could move around and be an active kid, which I was an active kid. And I kind of connected myself to sports really young and continued to do sports through my adolescence, high school, and even into my 20s. And around 20 years old, I got my first running blade that you've probably seen on TV. And that kind of started my journey towards training to make a Paralympic team. And up until that point, my journey with sports was kind of about trying to prove myself and be accepted. And it was a lot of pressure that was probably self-induced. And it was a very kind of like grinding pressure. And I did that for a while. And in my mid-20s, after not making a Paralympic team, I had a girlfriend and we had a child, and my goals shifted, and being a father was like the greatest thing in the world. And that was my new focus. And at the time, that was the greatest thing, the greatest gift that I ever had. A couple of years went by, and me and that woman were no longer together, and the circumstances changed. I found out that my child wasn't biologically mine, and things didn't turn out the way that I wanted, and he left my life. So I found myself in my late 20s, kind of lost and not knowing where to go. So I turned back to track, and I wanted to make another Paralympic team. And I competed with some of the greatest Paralympic athletes ever, but I fell short of my goal. And I remembered a story that I had forgotten about until yesterday. I actually, at one point, drove to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and like knocked on her door and wanted to come train there. And they basically told me to leave, and they were going to call security on me. So I left, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. And I was around 30 years old, and I had lived in Kansas City, Missouri, basically my whole entire life. So it was that time I became curious about life, what life had to offer, that there had to be more. And I started seeking something that I didn't know what it was. So I sold everything, sold my house, quit my job, and I moved to Philadelphia to be a nanny to two young girls who had just lost their mother. And I spent a year with them, finding purpose, being there for them, and they were there for me during my challenging times. The school year ended, and I knew I had to continue. And then I found myself in California, which I really enjoyed California the few times I had visited. So I was really excited to come see what California had to offer. And I found myself way north in California, in a place about 5 hours north of San Francisco in the middle of nowhere. And I worked on this mountain as a farmer for an entire farm season. And it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my life. I didn't have access to like social media, cell phone, the common luxuries that we have weren't there. So I got to basically be with my thoughts and listen to some of the things that might have been tuned out because of all the interference of everyday life. And it got me thinking more and more about my journey and what I wanted and what success was and what things I could do in this world. I then found myself near the ocean of Mendocino and decided to set up a life here, and kind of this place became my community, and that's where I am right now. I started wanting more, and these mentors started showing up in my life. And one of them came at a store that I was working at, and this guy was very mysterious and was always very positive and uplifting. And he started kind of to show me what gratitude was. He was grateful for all sorts of things. He had a hard time moving around in his body, but he was grateful to have a body. And so that kind of struck my curiosity of this, what is this gratitude? And at the same time, I found another mentor who happened to do this deep transformational, they call it somatic body work. And that was when things really started to truly shift. I was on his massage table and he was working my body and moving things around, and basically making my body vibrate in a way that it hadn't before. And he helped me basically transmute the feeling that I had from when I lost my child and was no longer a father, and shift that into gratitude. I became grateful for the experience of being a father. That's not an experience that you can just go out and buy. It was a gift. So that was the big gratitude shift, and how I looked at the world changed, how my body started to interact with the world changed. So I became even more curious about gratitude. And I was wondering what else in my life that I could be grateful for. And then I started becoming grateful for the way I was born, missing my leg, having that experience. And then again, my body started to shift and change on how it interacted. And one time during this process, all my prosthetic legs broke. I had no prosthetics. The only thing I had was my old track leg, the blade. I put it on and started to use that as my everyday leg, and found myself running on these beaches where I live in a way that I'd never ran before. It really didn't make sense to me. My body was almost liberated from trying to prove something. I was just out moving my body because I can. And around that time is when I went to India, and I met a man there named Mahatma Fikaranan, and I spent a little under a month with him at an ashram, and he taught me how to meditate. I came back to the United States, and everything completely changed. The organization that I wanted to create just started to be manifested. My body, the prosthetics I needed to move my body, started to be manifested. I got a call from the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs asking me to come back out to train, like they invited me. So I got to train with some of the best athletes in the world. And then my body, I started to move my body even more through the redwood forests, through mountains. It just basically liberated my entire body from being heavy. I became light, and I was able to practice gratitude while in a struggle. And I think that's one of my big things that I learned is we all have struggle. Nobody's struggle is bigger or smaller. It's about the same. And we get to practice gratitude in those moments, and it's very powerful. And I recommend starting out small and then just kind of working your way through things, and things change. Like I said, now I'm able to run lighter. I feel like I can run anywhere I want to run. I'm living my wildest dream, honestly. I'm running in places that I couldn't even imagine walking probably 10 years ago. So gratitude completely changed my life. And it's one of those things that you don't have to go out and get an education to obtain it. You don't have to pay any money to get it. It's something that's free and available, that's available to all of us. And it just starts out with one small thing, and then it kind of just snowballs into something great. And it's a tool that you can always rely on. It's there for you whenever you want. And I still sometimes, knowing that and having that knowledge, I forget, and I have to remind myself, and some of the times that I get to remind myself is when stressful moments start to arise. I kind of trained myself, when stress hits a certain point, I stop and I'm like, all right, there's definitely something here I can be grateful for. It's really easy to be grateful for things, that you get, like food, or money or having a good time. But I really think the secret is being grateful for the struggle. So today, that's what I have to offer you guys is this practice being gratitude or being grateful, and you can chase your dreams down. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zachary, for sharing your personal experiences with us. It is really heart-touching and inspiring to see how, despite the challenges thrown at you, you've persevered and made sense of life. Being grateful and seeing the blessings of life despite the challenges, that is truly inspiring. And I personally find many lessons to take from your story. So thank you very much for sharing this with us today. We now continue our program with a musical presentation by Mr. Suyogya Rai, residing in Israel. Mr. Rai will share his own composition entitled Men Know Thyself with us today. Mr. Suyogya Rai.
The journey started from the womb, not knowing where it is, and God's involving illusion, still trying to know. I've been there.
so much, Mr. Siyokurai, for this moving composition. I'm sure that all our viewers will have enjoyed both the beautiful music and the touching words. We now go all the way to Mexico for our third speaker of the day, Mrs. Gabby De La Torre. Mrs. Gabby De La Torre is a psychologist, a health math practitioner, and teacher. She describes herself as a seeker of truth. Please welcome Mrs. Gabby De La Torre.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here. This is a dream come true. I will start with an analogy. When you want to harvest fruits, berries, you must have strong roots, and these roots must be kept first on a freezer. In 2015, one of my naughty students, she's now 89 years old, she invited me to come over to a spiritual talk. You know, I was a teacher, I'm still a teacher. I wanted to have everything under control, and then she said, come over, and I said, no, you know what? I was trying to find excuses not to go. She kept on insisting, and I was there. Finally, I was there. I was sitting down there at the front of the rows on this theater, and I was a controller. I was just observing what was happening, and I was struggling with my thoughts. I couldn't chat with anyone as everybody was absorbed in the talk. Then I said, okay, here I am. I will be grateful for being here surrounded with people who are really interested on gratitude. And then the roots were taken out from my heart. In 2019, from 2015 to 2019, I kept on going every Sunday to listen to these spiritual talks. These spiritual talks where I could observe the enlightened ones, real congruent people who really devote their lives to spread the light. There are no judgments. There are no discriminations. Any religion can come over. So that was what I was looking for. If I had any question, the questions were answered. I learned that when you have a question, you cannot meditate. In spiritual life, in this spiritual journey, there are no half steps. As soon as you start practicing different habits. You start becoming aware of the light that resides inside of you. Your habits change. You start choosing the people you want to hang around with. You start choosing what to eat, when to practice, when to criticize, and when not to criticize, when to stop your thoughts. And then your life starts changing. And gratitude becomes a part of your life. As a heart math practitioner, I knew that science has proved, as we have heard with the first speaker, that gratitude changes our life. I knew that gratitude could be measured. So I said, well, now the pieces are assembling. This mind of a teacher who wants to have control started just flowing and said, okay, gratitude is a feeling. Gratitude can be measured. I see the effects on myself. I observe it on the enlightened ones. So gratitude became part of my life. Meditation became part of my practice. I practice with gratitude. There's a difference. If you just meditate, you just calm down your thoughts. But if you meditate with gratitude, there's a change. You become aware of the divine energy that accompanies through your existence. And the most beautiful thing is that we have a spiritual living master. This is a spiritual master who cares and guides us and protects us in real time, as this Zoom session. Life is an opportunity to be a better human being, and we forget. I took it for granted. What gives meaning to my life, I asked myself. And then I learned when I pay attention to my inhaling and my exhaling, my breath, that connects me with light. We are given total freedom to grow thorns or to grow flowers. We can grow as whatever we want. We have the freedom. What makes the difference? The difference is to practice consciousness with gratitude. So I invite you to be grateful for having this opportunity to be alive.
Thank you, Mrs. Gabby, for sharing your spiritual journey with us and telling us how spirituality, meditation, and gratitude improves our lives and really makes us better human beings. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Moving ahead with the program, we are now honored to present to you our special guest speaker of the day, Mahatma Nirmohi Baiji. Mahatma Nirmohi Baiji is an enlightened saint from Haridwar, India. Even in this modern era where we see people running after name and fame and forget the real essence of life, she is an example of simplicity and austerity, who sacrificed all her materialistic achievements at a very tender age to achieve the higher spiritual goal. Despite reaching peaks in her career, she preferred to listen to her inner voice of conscience. She followed the path towards inner self, a path towards self-realization, and became the solemn disciple of the spiritual master Sri Satpalji Maharaj, who is the founder of Manav Dharam Seva Samiti. Since then, Mahatma Nirmohi Baiji has been an embodiment of a true saint who mesmerizes everyone through her inspirational spiritual discourses. She never fails to motivate people around her with her amazing personality that attracts people towards spirituality and helps them to understand the real essence of life. It is a great honor to be in the presence of Mahatma Nirmohi Baiji, sharing with us today her profound and deep spiritual understanding of this topic, gratitude. Please welcome Mahatma Nirmohi Baiji.
Holy Sri Guru Maharaj Ji and all dear respected premies and brothers and sisters present here in this spiritual awareness journey program and listening about the gratitude and its importance in the life from all the speakers, very, very inspiring words. So really, gratitude means to be grateful, to be thankful for whatever we have gained, and by varied kind of means and by the grace of the Almighty. And it's a great virtue and a good quality which really enhances our inner and the outer world. And so let's firstly offer our gratitude to Lord of the universe and the creator of this creation, who have given this human life as an opportunity for a higher purpose. And the soul, which is the prime force and the energy sustaining us, and the life in variety of forms. So when a person starts understanding, knowing that change is the only factor and the phenomena that in the world, so accepting it, the duality, a wise and a knowledgeable person, a devotee, choose the middle. the middle path of spirituality, to experience that entity which is chainless, without chains, while living in this world, in all kinds of situations, in all kinds of atmosphere. And so it's very, very important to have this kind of values, to have this kind of good quality in our behavior, in our life. So when we really, appreciate the what is good, what is meaningful, and what is valuable in the life, and to have an appreciation for as an individual what we received from Thai blessings, their support, their contributions of the people in the circle of our relationships and of the nature and of the society. And so always be grateful to your parents. Grateful to your parents because they have done so much for us when we were not able to do anything. So we are totally dependent on them, how they nourish us, how they nurture us in so many, many ways. So we have to imbibe this kind of quality, this kind of a good habit. And so when I was in the school, at that time we used to read the story of a very loyal and obedient young boy, Shravan Kumar. Was a very dedicated and served his parents in such a good way. He set an example for all of us. I think right now also this story is included in the subject, in the syllabus for the children as a moral story to imbibe those kind of, the quality, the human values, right from the early stage of our life. So when we, feel, when we view the world with the feeling of gratitude, actually you yourself training to see the world and the good side of it. In the time of adversity, in the time of struggle, challenges, crises, in crossroads of life. And so it makes the gratitude, makes the person optimistic. To see the glass half full, not empty. But in that emptiness, one can able to see the air flowing and walks and tries his best to fill the glass full. So really we should have this kind of mindset in our life to move on. And also to the nature. We have very much thankful, we have to be thankful for the nature around, which heals the body, the mind, and the spirit. And it holds to further our aesthetic, cognitive test, for mental health, and for, of course, for this spiritual growth also. And indeed, actually, we are living in the midst of the nature around, which really like a mother nurtures us. And as a teacher, it teaches us so many life lessons. So many life lessons if you observe, if you reflect in the nature, how a teeny seed drives its way in order to germinate and to grow. And a river, it flows, overcoming the big rocks, and in crossing and taking turns in his course to merge into the ocean. And also how a caterpillar transforms itself into a colorful butterfly. So really actually the nature, sending us a very silent message, giving us the silent lessons of life, of perseverance to excel and bring change and transformation, a good transformation in the life to elevate, to grow, to evolve ourselves. So it's and also in the Vedic age also, the nature and its forces are revered and regarded as the deities, means the Devta in the word. Devta means the deity. Like, for example, for water, Jal Devta. Water, fire, earth, sky, sun, even moon. They were all revered, they were all, worshipped. The reason behind is to protect them, to conserve the environment, because we are dependent on them for our basic needs, even say for our food, clothing, and shelter, and for other necessities we use the natural resources. So really we should have, and when we realize this and feel deeply gratitude to the whole existence in such an extension and to such a dimension, then it really helps us to expand our the spiritual awakening also, spiritual awakening, spiritual growth. And so also let's have a very gratitude to the living master, to the spiritual master who really showing us this spiritual path of awakening by rendering this kind of programs, spiritual talks, service, spiritual knowledge to elevate our life, to enlighten our life. And so, as by removing our years of ignorance from the mind, by initiating into the truth and the reality of the life, of the world, and really unlocks the knowledge that has given by the master, unlocks the hidden, the spiritual wealth, the hidden spiritual wealth of infinity within. So, and to all the great saints and sages who left this spiritual legacy for all of us, for every generation, for all human race, for all of us. And so I think, and also, and the present context in the present time, and to all the COVID warriors, and all the doctors and the nurses, and all the people who are working day and night, providing their services in different parts of the society, of the nation, and to save the life of the people. So they are doing a very, very great service to the society, to save the human life. And also the master spreading the message of peace, goodwill, non-violence, goodwill, and humanity, compassion, kindness, for the establishment of righteousness in the world, for a better world, and to accept the world as a family. As a family. And I think to sum up with, I would like to quote this quotation that the gratitude sends the past and bring joys and solution to the present and vision for the tomorrow. And so let's every day pray and thanks to the Lord, to the God for a new day, another chance to live on this planet. So thank you all. God bless.
Thank you so much, Madhva Nirmohi Baiji, for your uplifting words today. As you beautifully said, when we appreciate what we have in life, when we are grateful for the blessings of life, we become more optimistic and better prepared to face the challenges of life. I particularly loved the example that you gave that just as a river, we can keep flowing over small and big hurdles until we reach our destination. Thank you so much for your words today. We now wish to request you all to join us for a 2 minutes meditation and prayers for the wellness and peace of all humanity here on earth. Thank you so much for sharing this special moment with us. We would like to thank each and every one of you for your presence here on our Spiritual Awareness Journey Talk platform today. We hope that today's episode has inspired you to embrace the attitude of gratitude. Please feel free to drop us a note with your comments, or if you have any questions or you wish to contact any of our speakers, please email us at spiritualawarenessjourney@gmail.com. The email address is in the chat box now. So please do feel free to send us your questions, and we will make sure to address it in our next episode of the Spiritual Awareness Journey program, which will be held on 12th of June 2021. The topic of episode 9 will be Purpose of a Discipline. Wishing you a wonderful weekend ahead. A big thank you to our speakers, and a thank you again for joining us today. Thank you to our sponsor, Manav Dharam YouTube channel. I'm your host, Smita. From all of us here on the Spiritual Awareness Journey, best wishes for a healthy and peaceful journey. Take care and see you soon. Thank you.
You are my brother.
you.